Hello everyone. Now the topic we are going to discuss is loops in C program. Loops in C. So what is a loop here? A loop is a repeating statement or a repetitive statement. A loop is a repetitive statement. What does a repetitive statement means? If we want to display a single statement n number of times, that is of more than once, then we require a looping statement. So that is called as a repetitive statement. Even looping statements are also known as iterative statements. Also known as iterative statements. So for example, if we want to print a name 5 times. For example, if we want to print a name 5 to 10 times, then we are going to use the repetitive statements or looping statements. So there are two different types of repetitive statements, that is of entry control and exit control statements. Entry control statements and exit control statements. So what is an entry control statement here? In the sense is the statement which checks the condition, and then allows to execute the statements. It's called as an entry control statement, whereas the other statement, that is of exit control statement, is nothing but which directly executes the statements. Once and then check the condition. Then it checks the condition, is called as an exit control statement. So why do we want two different types of statements is, sometimes we want to execute the program at least once without checking the condition. At that particular moment we need this entry control statement. So exit control statement, the examples of exit control statement is while, and the example of exit control is do while. So these are the different types of looping statements where we are going to discuss now, that is of list of iterative statements or looping statements. List of iterative statements or looping statements. The first type of looping statement we are going to discuss is while. The first statement is while condition, while statement. And the second one is do while, and third one is for. These are the looping statements we are going to learn, and all the three will be having a particular format to be followed. The particular format for the looping statement is, initially it will be having an initialization which followed by a condition checking, and later it will be either increment or decrement. For example, initialization is nothing but in order to perform a programming, we need some variables for some variables to be declared as an accessing values. So the default and regularly used variable where we will be using is I is the variable, I, j and k are the regular variables where we will be using in a C programming language. So initialization in the sense, for example, an I is a variable which can be initialized either 1 or 10 where you want to start the loop. And condition is nothing but we will be using the keywords one among the three. For example, if while is the condition checking statement we are going to use. So here we will be writing the condition as I less than or equal to, or I greater than, or also we can mention like 10 or 100 whatever it is. Then we have to increment or decrement the value. Okay, that is of increment or decrement, and this increment or decrement can be either pre-increment or post-increment, and in the same way pre-decrement or post-decrement can also be done over here. Okay, now we will get into the looping statement, while loop first. So while loop is also called as an entry control loop where the condition will be checking first, then it will be executing the program. For example, if we want to display a name 10 times, the same name if we want to display 10 times, how we are going to use and how we are going to write the program with a while loop. So initializing and all the header files to be included as usual, hash include stdio.h. Okay, now we will start with the main program, and within the main program we have to declare a variable. For example, we are declaring a variable of I of type integer because we are going to display the name in 5 number of times. So I will be making use of a variable integer data type and the variable name is I. So next we have to start the initialization of the variable. Now I am initializing I equal to 1. The condition which is of while, where we are going to check the condition to be greater than I less than or equal to 5. Why? Because the name which we are going to print is 5 times. So now here we can print the name within the curly braces or out of the curly braces also. For example, if we want to print the name like Velammal. Okay, so once if it is going to be executed, okay, it will be printing, and before exiting the condition, we have to increment the value. Why? Because here we have initialized the value, condition we have checked. Next step in the looping statements is either increment or decrement. So I value initially we have given 1. It has to be incremented by 1. So I equal to I plus 1. Its value will be incremented, and once if the I value reaches 5 and if goes to the incremented value of 6, the program will be terminated by printing the output Velammal as 5 times. Now the syntax of while loop is, we all know the 3 steps of looping statements to be followed: initialization, condition checking and increment or decrement. In the same order, first we will be going with the initialization. Syntax of while statement is initialization while condition that is of iterative condition, where it will be repeatedly turning repeatedly n number of times if we want. Okay, next after that, increment or decrement of the value or a variable. Okay, this is the syntax for a while statement, where it goes with, and if we are going to execute the program, and after that how the output will be displayed is, after compiling the program initially I value will be 1. If I equal to 1, I is less than or equal to 5, that is of 1 less than or equal to 5. So the condition is true, it gets inside the loop and it will be printing the name Velamman as once, and now the I value will be incremented by 1. I already it is of 1 and I value will be incremented by 2. Now again the while loop will be checking the condition 2 less than or equal to 5. The condition will be true and the output of Velamman will be printed by the second time. Again the I value will be keep on continuously repeating till it reaches the condition. Once the I value is equal to 5 and less than or equal to 5, this condition will be satisfied, as of we have used the less than or equal to symbol. So again after printing the fifth time, the I value will be incremented by 6. 6 less than or equal to 5. Once if it reaches this condition, the condition will be false and it will be terminated by displaying the name Velamman 5 times. Next, the second statement is a do-while conditional statement. The next statement is a do-while statement. So do-while, as we all know that do-while is a exit control statement. Exit control statement. Even the do-while will be following the same structure like initialization, condition checking, increment or decrement. Now the syntax of do-while is, we all know that do-while is a exit control statement. So initially do-while will not be checking the condition. It lets the code to be executed once. After executing the code once, it will be executing the program once at least, and a minimum time of iteration for a do-while statement is 1. Thank you a lot.